Well, the lawmakers in America that you're talking about, I mean, the West have always done business in Africa. And I think for every penny that's stolen out of Africa, somewhere European government or American government or something, they always, private sector, public sector, people always aid and abet African leadership to steal money and launder them wherever they want. That's older than science, so to speak. But I'm really what I would like you to convey to our viewers on a serious note is that how Nigerians in the diaspora, how do you plan to effect the kind of change that you dream about in Nigeria? It's one thing to go after corruption, to see how you can combat corruption, to see how you can pressure these people so that they don't steal the money out of Nigeria and come in the West and enjoy their wealth and whatnot. All of that is well and good. But how do you plan to effect the kind of serious change that's necessary to move Nigeria to the next step?
All right, let me first address the first question that you raised about, when they come in here, that people, they do business with them. And I want to say to you, in all honesty, that is because you and I, we keep quiet, okay?
We're not keeping quiet right now. That's why we're doing this show.
Well, we're not keeping quiet, and that's a good thing. But what I mean is that when people begin to talk, in this country, everybody is always protective of his name, okay? Because you do something, that could be it. The higher you are, if you do something that is against the law, then there's problem. So when Nigerians in diaspora refuse to keep quiet, when they talk, then their collaborators here will not be able to do what they were doing with them anymore. So we need to shout and expose not just those corrupt Nigerians that come in here, but also their collaborators here. And trust me, the law will take its course on them. So that is it. Then on the other hand, how do we intend, to bring the change that our people, desire? This is just the beginning of it, okay? When people are well educated about their rights, that is the beginning of it. When you sensitize people on the need for them to talk at the right time, to reject what should not be, then you are making a change. Okay? It's not like something is going to change just 24 hours. But gradually, when you sensitize them, you educate them, you give them, materials that will show them that, okay, all this while, I've been doing it wrong. Now it is time to do it right. And from there, we are believing that patriotic leaders will emerge to take the center stage in Nigeria.
Well, that's the best thing I've heard so far, and that's why. And I really commend you, and I wish you guys all the best with that particular concept, because we can talk all the time about the kind of Nigeria that people envision, but until people find a way to actually have your interest represented in government, nothing would really change.
And I agree with you.
And now, as far as something called foreign vote. I think it's called absentee ballot in the U.S., something to that effect. I don't know who I'm looking at. So what do you envision that happening in Nigeria? Would there be a possibility someday for diaspora Nigerians to vote and actually make their vote count?
I'm aware that there's a group here in United States and some in United Kingdom that actually went to Nigeria as far as going to the highest court of the land to make sure that Nigerians who are resident abroad have the right to vote, okay? And that is something that we are passionate about. The fact that we are dual citizen or whatever, does not mean that we should not vote. We are here in America. We may have American papers, but that does not take, the root from us that we are Nigerians. And so we should have that right to vote as Nigerians. And like I said to you, a group of individuals took that upon themselves, and they drafted what needed to be drafted. They went to court in Nigeria, and they were granted that, yes, Nigerians, you have the right to vote, irrespective of where you reside on the globe.
Well, you're saying that's law now, or it's still in discussion, or?
Well, I believe the last time I heard about this, it has reached the level, where the legislative body will actually put it into some kind of law. But, I don't believe they've done it yet. But it has reached that stage that because the court has said that this is doable. And once court has said it's doable, then it's left for them to make sure that they put it where it's supposed to be.
Okay, thank you, Dada. Now, the other thing that in light of what NDLF is doing to mobilize Nigerians and sensitize Nigerians in diaspora, I mean, as you know, the education system in Nigeria, especially higher education, there's been an erosion of quality education, and as far as people being gainfully employed, even when they graduate from university, there's always what is it called? They're always striking because the professors are not being paid, or for one thing or the other. How NDLF, do you think that your organization can play a role as far as producing the kind of candidate that you're talking about that will eventually take office and represent the interests of Nigeria? In other words, do you have any plan to participate in improving the education system in Nigeria?
Well, I'm going to attack that question from two ends. First of all, I don't know how much of education that you had in Nigeria, but I know for sure, that at least the elementary aspect
was very good.
Yes, and we all enjoyed it in those days, and thank God for it. But right now, the system back home, to say the least, is horrible, and we all know about it. Now, the children of the rich go to private school, owned and funded by our money. We all know about it, including universities. You have this university, that university, built from the scratch by government money, okay, but owned by individuals. We all know it, all right? Now, that has got to change. And that is why I said earlier on that once people know they are right, they need to say no to this, okay? Now, the public schools, as we have it now, is nothing to write home about. I went to public school, and I thank God for it because at that time it was the best that you can have. So, but the situation has changed drastically. Now people need to be aware of their right. Once we get to that level, then people will know that whether you go to public school or private school, at the end of the day, you will be who you are supposed to be. Okay. Now, from our end, I'd like to point out that NDLF does not claim to have, the solutions to all the problems of Nigeria. But what we want to do, especially, is to make sure that we call on Nigerians to dialogue, to discuss about all these issues and come up with concrete solutions, workable solutions, okay, that we can put together as a blueprint, including way forward, meaning that how to have those things accomplished, not just write it up and then close the book, no, but with intent of how to make sure that we have all these things.
Thank you, Dr. Dada. Well said. I just have a little disclaimer before it goes away that this program is actually the production of Global Media Productions and African Views framework. We are independent media, and that's why we're here. Independent media in America enjoys the opportunity to, cover whatever issues you want to cover that's, maybe particular to your community or your society, and also that represents your interests. So this is, it's not governmental funded, it's all private entity, and it's also the African perspectives. So when Dr. Dada said earlier that I'm part of the media in terms of bringing to light issues that affect Africans across the globe, but I'm not part of the media representing the interests of any organization for that matter. Of course, I'm a Nigerian. If I have any particular interest in any organization, I have the right to do that. And I commend what NTLF is doing, but we're independent media. Thank you. I just want to say that.
That was very smart.